Rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows. Sebastian Kane stood alone in his penthouse, 40 stories above Manhattan, watching his reflection fracture in the wet glass. His phone buzzed. Cassandra's name glowed like a wound. "Sebastian, darling. The engagement party is Saturday at the Metropolitan Club. You simply must come." His knuckles whitened around the phone. "Congratulations. Don't be bitter. We both know you're incapable of anything deeper than a quarterly report." Her laugh cut through the line. "I told everyone you'd be there. Alone, of course." The line went dead. The next morning, Central Park's autumn air bit his face as he walked. That's when he heard it. A voice that seemed to hold every emotion he'd buried. Pure, haunting, achingly beautiful. Near the Bethesda fountain, a young woman sat on a worn blanket, dark hair catching sunlight as she sang. Her fingers moved across guitar strings with practiced grace. Luna Rivera. Lost in her music, unaware of the man watching from behind a tree. When the small crowd dispersed, Sebastian approached. "That was incredible." Luna looked up. Her dark eyes met his, and he saw weariness there, the kind earned through too many broken promises. "Thank you, I'm Sebastian Luna." She shook his hand briefly, noting the expensive watch. "Let me guess. Finance, real estate, something that requires suits and stress." Despite everything, he smiled. "Close tech." For 20 minutes, he sat and listened, drawn by something he couldn't name. When she paused, he made the decision that would change everything. "I have a proposition for you." Her eyebrow arched. "I don't do private parties. It's not about your music." "Not entirely." He took a breath. "I need a date for one very important evening." The skepticism in her eyes was immediate. "You're a successful businessman asking a street musician to be your date. What's the catch?" "My ex-girlfriend is getting engaged. She expects me to show up alone and defeated, proving I'm incapable of love. I need someone who won't be intimidated by that crowd." "No. And you think I fit that description?" "You're performing for strangers without caring what they think. You have more confidence in your voice than most people have in their entire lives." Luna studied him. "What's in it for me?" $5,000 for one evening. The amount hit her like a physical blow. 3 months of street performances, her mother's medical bills, the stack of past due notices on her counter. "This ex of yours?" she said slowly. "She hurt you, didn't she?" The question caught him off guard. "She made me believe I was incapable of love." Maybe she was right. Luna set down her guitar and really looked at him. Beneath the expensive suit, she saw something familiar. The loneliness that came from building walls too high for anyone to climb. "One evening," she said finally, "but I have conditions. I'm listening. I don't pretend to be someone I'm not. I tell people I'm a musician. You don't treat me like an employee. If I feel disrespected, I leave with the money. Deal." Luna stood, slinging her guitar case over her shoulder. "You have yourself an agreement, Sebastian Kane." The surprise at her recognition made her smile. "I read the business section sometimes. Meet me tomorrow at Melody's Cafe on 5th Street. We need to get our story straight." That evening, Sebastian sat in his penthouse reading the file his assistant had compiled. Luna Rivera, 26 years old, Juilliard dropout after her father's death. Supporting her sick mother through street performances and odd jobs. Someone who had sacrificed dreams for love. His phone rang. The engagement. Party venue changed to the Avalon Hotel ballroom, his assistant informed him. 300 guests now. 300 people who would judge Luna for not belonging. 300 witnesses to his own emotional bankruptcy. As he hung up, Sebastian realized he might have made a terrible mistake. Not because Luna couldn't handle herself, but because he was beginning to care what happened to her. Luna stared at Sebastian's business card in her cramped apartment. Through the thin walls, she could hear her mother's labored breathing. A reminder of why she'd said yes. $5,000 would buy her mother 2 more months of treatment. Maybe 3. The next afternoon, she stood outside an exclusive Madison Avenue boutique, feeling like an imposter in her worn jacket and sneakers. Sebastian appeared beside her, immaculate in his charcoal suit. "You ready?" As anyone can be for their first time shopping where they probably clean the floors with champagne. Inside, an impeccably dressed woman glided toward them. "Mr. Kane, we have several options for your companion." "This is Luna Rivera," Sebastian said firmly. "She's a professional musician and my date." The distinction was small but meaningful. Luna felt some tension ease. For 2 hours, she tried on gown after gown. Beaded creations that caught light like captured stars. Flowing silks that whispered with movement. Structured pieces meant for red carpets. "This isn't me," Luna said, emerging in a heavily embellished black gown that felt like wearing someone else's skin. "What would be you?" Sebastian asked, looking up from his phone. "Something that lets me move. Something that doesn't make me feel like I'm playing dress-up." She met his eyes. "Something real." The boutique owner returned with a midnight blue dress. Elegant but simple, with clean lines that moved like water. When Luna emerged from the fitting room, Sebastian's breath caught. That's the one. Over dinner at an upscale restaurant, they crafted their story. 2 months together, met through mutual friends. Taking things slow, but as they talked, the fabricated details began weaving around genuine moments of connection. "Why music?" Sebastian asked as their entrees arrived. Luna's fingers traced the rim of her wineglass. "My father was a jazz pianist. He used to say music was the only honest language humans ever created. When he died, it was the only way I could still talk to him." Her voice carried no self-pity, just stark truth. "And now, it's how I survive." "What about you?" She leaned forward. "When did you stop believing you were capable of love?" Sebastian's fork paused halfway to his mouth. Most people wanted to know about his net worth, his latest acquisition. No one asked about his heart. "My parents divorced when I was 12. Ugly custody battle. They used me as ammunition against each other until I learned that loving someone just gave them weapons." He met her eyes. "Cassandra confirmed what I already knew. I'm better at building companies than relationships. Maybe you just never found someone worth the risk." The comment hung between them like a challenge. Later, walking through Washington Square Park, Luna stopped at a street musician playing violin. Without hesitation, she pulled out a 20 and dropped it in his case. "That's your grocery money," Sebastian observed. "Music deserves respect." She watched the violinist's fingers dance across the strings. "Besides, some things matter more than money." Sebastian studied her profile in the lamplight. "You really believe that, don't you? Don't you?" The question followed him home, echoing through his empty penthouse. He'd built his life on the principle that everything had a price. Everyone had an agenda. Luna Rivera was challenging the foundation of his worldview. The next morning brought disaster. His assistant burst into his office, face pale. "Sir, we have a problem." "What kind of problem?" "Cassandra just called. She knows you're bringing someone to the party." The assistant hesitated. "She hired a private investigator. She knows everything about Luna, her background, her mother's illness, the street performances." Sebastian's blood ran cold. "How she saw you together at the park." "She's been watching you." "What does she want?" "She wants to meet Luna tomorrow at her office." The assistant's voice dropped. "She said if Luna doesn't show up, she'll make sure everyone at the party knows you hired a fake girlfriend. She'll destroy both of you." Sebastian stood, his mind racing. He'd underestimated Cassandra's cruelty. She didn't just want to win, she wanted to watch him burn. Sebastian called Luna immediately. "We need to talk. Now." They met at a quiet coffee shop in Brooklyn. Rain streaked the windows as Sebastian explained Cassandra's ultimatum. "She wants to meet me?" Luna's voice was steady, but her hands trembled around her cup. "Why?" "To intimidate you. To make sure you understand what you're walking into." Sebastian leaned forward. "Luna, we can call this off. I'll handle Cassandra and let her win. Let her prove you're exactly what she thinks you are." Luna shook her head. "No. I'll meet her. You don't have to do this." "Yes, I do." Her eyes blazed. "You're paying me $5,000. I keep my deals." But they both knew it wasn't about the money anymore. The next day, Luna walked into Cassandra's gleaming office on Park Avenue. The woman behind the desk was stunning. Ice blonde hair, perfect makeup, designer suit that probably cost more than Luna's rent for a year. Luna Rivera. Cassandra's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Please sit," Luna sat, refusing to be intimidated. "I'll be direct," Cassandra said, sliding a folder across the desk. "That's everything about you. Your father's death, your mother's cancer, your abandoned Juilliard scholarship, every street corner you've played on for the past 3 years." Luna opened the folder. Her entire life, reduced to surveillance photos and medical records. "Sebastian thinks he's being clever," Cassandra continued. "Hiring someone to play his girlfriend? But you and I both know the truth. You're doing this for money. Specifically, for your mother's treatment. What do you want?" "I want you to understand something." Cassandra leaned back in her chair. "Sebastian Kane is broken. He's incapable of genuine connection. I spent 2 years trying to reach him, and all I found was ice." Her voice hardened. "I'm not the villain here. I'm trying to save you from making a mistake. By blackmailing me? By offering you a choice?" Cassandra pulled out a check. $10,000. Double what Sebastian's paying. Walk away now, and this conversation never happened. Luna stared at the check. $10,000. For months of treatment. Maybe 5. Her mother's face flashed through her mind. The way she smiled despite the pain. The way she asked about Luna's music, even when breathing hurt. Luna asked quietly, "Why do you care if I show up to your engagement party?" For the first time, something real flickered across Cassandra's face. "Because watching him pretend to be happy will hurt more than watching him be alone. And I want him alone. I want him to feel what I felt." The honesty was brutal. "You still love him," Luna said. "I still hate that I loved him." Cassandra pushed the check forward. "Take the money, Luna. Save yourself." Luna stood, leaving the check on the desk. "I appreciate the offer, but I keep my deals." She walked out, heart pounding. That evening, Sebastian paced his penthouse. His phone rang. "Luna, I met with Cassandra, and she offered me $10,000 to walk away." Sebastian's stomach dropped. "Did you take it?" There was a long pause. "No," Luna said finally. "But Sebastian, I need to ask you something, and I need the truth. Anything, is she right? Are you incapable of feeling anything real?" The question hung in the air like a blade. "I don't know," he admitted, his voice raw. "I thought I was, but then I met you. And now I'm terrified, because I think I might be capable of something I'm not ready for." Silence filled the line. "The party is tomorrow," Luna said softly. "I'll be there. But after this is over, we need to talk about what's real and what's pretend. Because I'm starting to forget the difference." She hung up. Sebastian stood at his window. Watching the city lights blur, he'd hired Luna to prove Cassandra wrong. But somewhere along the way, the fake had become terrifyingly real. And now, he had no idea how to protect her from what was coming. The Avalon Hotel ballroom glittered like a cathedral of wealth. Crystal chandeliers cast fractured light across 300 guests dressed in their finest armor. Luna arrived in her midnight blue dress. And for a moment, every conversation paused. Sebastian met her at the entrance, his breath catching. "You look stunning. So do you." She took his offered arm, feeling the tremor in his hand. "Ready for this?" "No, but let's do it anyway." They entered together immediately. The whispers started. Eyes tracked them across the room. Luna felt the weight of judgment from every angle, but she kept her head high. Cassandra stood near the bar with her fiancé, a distinguished older man with silver hair and kind eyes. When she saw Sebastian and Luna, her smile froze. "Sebastian," Cassandra glided over, her fiancé trailing behind. "You came, and this must be your mysterious companion." "Luna Rivera," Luna said, extending her hand. "Congratulations on your engagement." Cassandra's grip was ice. "Thank you. Tell me, how did you two meet?" "Through mutual friends," Sebastian said smoothly. 2 months ago. 2 months. Cassandra's eyes glittered with malice. "How romantic. And what do you do, Luna?" "I'm a musician." "How lovely. What instrument?" "Voice and guitar." I perform around the city. Street performances, you mean? Cassandra's smile sharpened. How quaint. Actually, Luna said evenly. I think there's more honesty in street performance than in most boardrooms. At least when people walk away, you know exactly what they thought. Several nearby guests chuckled. Cassandra's face tightened. Excuse me? Luna turned to Sebastian. I need some air. She walked toward the terrace, aware of Sebastian following. Outside, the night air was cool against her skin. The city sprawled below, indifferent to the drama unfolding above. I'm sorry, Sebastian said. She's worse than I thought. She's in pain, Luna replied, surprising herself. This whole party is about making you hurt the way she hurts. That doesn't excuse her cruelty. No, but it explains it. Luna turned to face him. Sebastian, why did you really bring me here? Was it just to prove her wrong? Or was it because you wanted someone to see you differently? Before he could answer, Cassandra's voice cut through the night. How touching. She stood in the terrace doorway, holding a microphone. Behind her, guests had gathered, sensing drama. Ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement. Cassandra's voice carried across the terrace. I want to share something special about my dear friend Sebastian and his lovely date. Sebastian stepped forward. Cassandra, don't. Sebastian hired Luna to be here tonight. Paid her $5,000 to pretend to be his girlfriend because he couldn't face coming alone. She smiled at the gasps. Isn't that romantic? The great Sebastian Kane, so desperate to prove he's capable of love, that he had to buy it. The silence was deafening. Luna felt every eye on her, felt the humiliation burning through her chest. But instead of running, she did something unexpected. She laughed. You're absolutely right, Luna said loudly, walking toward Cassandra. He hired me. $5,000 for one evening of pretending. She turned to face the crowd. And you know what I learned? That sometimes the most real thing in a room full of expensive dresses and fake smiles is to people who are honest about being broken. She looked at Sebastian. He told me he thought he was incapable of love. And maybe he was right. Maybe we're both so damaged that this was doomed from the start. Luna pulled an envelope from her purse. The check Cassandra had given her, which she'd kept as insurance. But here's the thing about being broken, she continued, holding up the check. Sometimes broken people recognize each other. Sometimes they see past the cracks to something real underneath. She tore the check in half. I don't want your money, Cassandra. I don't want anyone's money. She turned to Sebastian. I want the truth. All of it. Right now. In front of everyone, Sebastian stood frozen, caught between the past and the possibility of something real. Do you feel anything for me? Luna asked, her voice steady, despite her racing heart. Or am I just a prop in your revenge against her? The entire ballroom held its breath. Sebastian looked at Cassandra, at the 300 witnesses, at the life he'd built on emotional distance. Then he looked at Luna. And something inside him cracked open. I feel everything, he said, his voice breaking. And it terrifies me, because I don't know how to hold on to something this real without destroying it. The words hung in the air like a confession. Cassandra's face twisted. You're pathetic, both of you. Maybe, Luna said quietly, but at least we're honest about it. She walked off the terrace, leaving Sebastian to choose. Follow her, and risk everything he'd built his identity on. Stay, and prove Cassandra right forever. The choice was his. Sebastian found Luna on the street outside the hotel, still in her midnight blue dress. Rain beginning to fall. Wait, she turned, mascara smudged. But her eyes were clear. I followed you, he said simply. I noticed. In front of 300 people, I walked away from everything I've spent years building. The reputation, the armor, all of it. Luna studied him. Why? Because you asked me a question, and I owe you the complete answer? He stepped closer, rain soaking through his expensive suit. When I hired you, it was about Cassandra. About proving something to her, to myself, to everyone who thought I was empty inside. And now? Now I realize I wasn't empty. I was just waiting for someone brave enough to look past the walls I built. His voice cracked. You didn't just play a part, Luna. You saw me. The real me. The one I've been hiding since I was 12 years old? Thunder rumbled overhead. I can't promise you I won't mess this up, Sebastian continued. I probably will. I'm terrible at relationships. I work too much. I keep people at a distance because it's safer than being hurt. I know, Luna said softly, but I want to try. With you? If you'll let me. Luna looked up at the rain, then back at him. You need to know something too. I didn't just say yes for the money. I mean, I did at first. But somewhere between the dress shopping and the dinner and the way you looked at me like I was worth more than $5,000, I started hoping. Hoping for what? That maybe broken pieces could fit together into something whole. Sebastian reached for her hand. I don't have a plan. I don't know what happens next, good Luna said, intertwining her fingers with his, because I'm tired of plans. I'm tired of performing for strangers and pretending I'm okay when I'm not. I'm tired of being strong all the time. What do you want? I want something real, even if it's messy, even if it's complicated. She squeezed his hand. Even if it scares me too. Then we're even. Behind them, the hotel doors opened. Cassandra's fiancé stepped out, holding an umbrella. Sebastiani called. May I have a word? Sebastian tensed, but the older man's expression was kind. I'm Richard, he said, approaching them, and I owe you both an apology. Cassandra told me what she did. The investigation, the threats, tonight's spectacle. He glanced back at the hotel. I didn't know, but I should have seen how much pain she was carrying. Why are you telling us this? Luna asked. Because I just called off the engagement. Richard's voice was sad but certain. I can't marry someone who's still in love with someone else, even if that love has curdled into something ugly. I'm in love with her, Sebastian said. No. And that's what she can't forgive. Richard offered a slight smile. For what it's worth, what you both did in there took real courage. Vulnerability in front of that crowd. That's not weakness. That's strength. He handed Sebastian the umbrella and walked away. Luna and Sebastian stood together under the shelter, watching rain blur the city lights. What now? Luna asked. Now we figure it out. Together. Sebastian pulled her closer. I'll help with your mother's medical bills. Not as payment. As someone who cares. And you help me remember how to feel something other than ambition and fear. That's not a fair trade. Maybe not. But it's real. Luna rested her head against his shoulder. My apartment is tiny, and my mother will interrogate you mercilessly. Your mother raised you. She can't be that scary. You have no idea. They both laughed, and the sound echoed through the rain. Above them in the ballroom, Cassandra watched from the window. Her reflection stared back at her, and for the first time, she saw what everyone else had seen. Not a woman scorned, but a woman who had mistaken control for love. She turned away from the window. Some lessons came too late. 6 months later, Luna performed at a small jazz club in the village. Her mother sat in the front row, color returning to her cheeks, treatment finally working. Sebastian sat beside her, his arm around the older woman's shoulders. Laughing at something she said. On stage, Luna's voice wrapped around an old jazz standard her father used to play. The notes carried memory and hope, loss and love. All the complicated contradictions of being human. When she finished, the audience erupted. But Luna only had eyes for one person. Sebastian stood, applauding, and in his eyes, she saw everything that mattered. Not perfection. Not a fairy tale ending. Just two broken people who decided that together. They might be enough. Luna smiled, and for the first time in years, she believed in happy endings. Not because they were easy, but because they were earned. The end.